All right. So I'm going to start. Well, you're swapping places. You're going to be in the interviewee chair today. And for those who don't know, I'm Dave Manoucheri. I'm a member of Ain't Got No Time with Matt. I'm also a vocalist and guitarist, along with Matt and Eric Rosander, Kevin Mooney, Ben Retz, it's and Rob Sabino, and a host of others who happen to join here and there. So that's been good. We're talking about the new album that came out just the end of last year, One Rough Year. Uh, and you already talked to Ben about Anxiety, which was the lead off song from the album, also our first single, correct?
No, the first single was Baby Brother.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. That's right. Baby
yeah,
Brother was first, then came
and then
Anxiety.
yeah,
But the album kicks off with Anxiety, and then we get to the song you and I are talking about, uh, Condemn Nation. If I was a grammar Nazi, I'd call it Condemn Nation, but
there
I'm
you
not going
go.
to be. It's Condemn Nation. But before we get to that, One Rough Year, if I open my quote book in my head, Matt Retz says, this album is kind of all over the place in the best way. It's our white album.
Yeah, yeah,
So we go from Anxiety to Condemnation. And correct me if I'm wrong, Condemnation has a real prog feel to it after this sort of Red Hot Chili Peppers funk of Anxiety. We go
yeah,
straight into a prog song, right?
yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong at all. It has all of the earmarks of a classic overindulgent prog song. Um, you know, and it's funny because the main theme of it, that main guitar theme and the chords in the verses, those I actually wrote back in the 1990s, back when I was playing with Fate Positive. And I showed it to the guys, and we just never went anywhere. We never did anything with it. And then, you know, all these years later, we're, trying to come up with a whole bunch of songs all during 1 month. And so I pulled out this thing that I'd been playing for years because I thought it was a really cool part. It just never came together, and started working on it. And the more I worked on it, the more sections there ended up being. And the next thing I knew, we were playing a Tool song or something, or Yes, or somebody.
So I mean, officially, then that would make this, at least the bones of it, the oldest song on the record, I would think.
Yeah, yeah. It was the oldest and almost the newest as well, I think, because I think it was one of the last things that we did. Um,
Probably, I think it was. I think that was closest to one of the last songs that
yeah,
we recorded, at
yeah,
least the basic backing tracks of and everything.
right.
So Fate Positive, it never really went anywhere. Was it just a wand of material, or did something click with you, with the musicians in the room, that this is the group of guys that we might be able to make this turn into something?
I mean, like I said, I've been bouncing around this idea for years, decades, and and when we started to do this, I said, well, this might be a good chance to use this little piece of music. And in fact, even the first few lines lyrically are the same that they were in the 90s. But in the 90s, when I was writing this, it was about, unrequited love and, the kind of things that you write about when you're,
20 something.
20, yeah, 25, 26 years old, not, when you're uh, closer to retirement than you are to your first job. Those aren't the things that I'm concerned with at this point in my lifetime. But I am concerned with the state of the world and the state of the way that we have all kind of become broken into camps that have no tolerance for any of the other camps. And that really just started to kind of resonate, and that's where this all kind of went.
It kind of feels to me, when you listen to the lyrics, like it's a commentary. I don't want to say criticism, but it's a commentary on people get upset about everything. I don't know if that's just social media in your mind or everything. It's like people now have an opinion about everything. And I think everybody had opinions. It's the old saying, opinions are like, assholes. Everybody
Yeah.
has one. But it also speaks about sort of the divide that keeps sort of pushing everybody further and further apart, right?
Yeah, it's the idea that you can't have any sort of a conversation with someone who has different ideals than you do without being condemned for it. That if you have a different philosophical, political, religious uh, position than they do, then you know they're going to cancel you, or they're going to uh, at the very least they're going to just rail at you. And we don't have any real civil discourse at this point in our society. Or maybe we do, but it's really rare. Um, and I do blame a lot of that on social media and um, yeah, you as a news person, I'm sure can relate to this, but we used to have much longer form news stories, and the things that you do really, really well are those longer form news stories, right? But in the age of the 24-hour news cycle now, those stories are 30 seconds or less because they've got to get on to the next story. And that means that we don't get full context on anything. We don't work hard to see the other point of view. And as a result, we end up with this world where everybody is so angry at the other side all the time. And I think that's really sad. And I don't see how we as a society get better through that, right? We have to listen to what other people are saying. And even if we don't agree, we need to at least understand. Um,
That centrist journalist in me is going to say, and the song kind of speaks this way. It's on either side of the spectrum too. It's like
Absolutely.
you're not saying that the right's canceling the left, or the left is
Well,
canceling the right, or the far right or left are coming after. It's everybody seems to want to inflict their opinion and say it's the right one without having that conversation.
yeah. And, I'm not convinced that there aren't two rights. Um, I think sometimes both sides can be right. And I actually think most of the time, both sides are really looking for the same end game. But the paths to get there are what differ so much. There are times where that's not the case, but I think most of the time that is. I think most of us we want to be happy. We want to enjoy our life. We want to feel safe. We want to be fed, and most of us want everybody else around us to be the same. We want them happy and fed and safe. Um, so, how do we accomplish that? Well, there's a lot of ideas. And if we are only willing to listen to the idea that comes from our side and the idea that comes from the other is absolutely wrong because it comes from the other, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, you're part of the problem.
It's interesting. It's something I get when I've gone to therapy. Is one of the things that they say is one of the things you have to accept is both things can be true.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect phrase for this, right? It's like, sometimes, I mean, it's easy for me to say because I tend to be very centrist, but it's like sometimes it's just that it is both things, or it's some of both things, and it's a hybrid of something in the middle. But it's that conversation that people have to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I would be remiss when you say my job as a news person to not say that you and I, along with your son Ben and Eric Rosander, did a song for one of those long form things called "Bringing Down the House," which people can stream and listen to as well. It seems to be doing pretty well on streaming as it is, but
Yeah.
the product placement is now over, and I'll move on to other things. But
Let's see here. Hold on. Here we go.
there it
Including
is.
on 45 vinyl.
I still have some 45s left too. So if we want to do at some point in the future, maybe we'll do as part of the bulk sale thing. If people want to buy everything, we can sell what's left of the 45s too.
There you
Um,
go.
Fire sale, so to speak. Although it was a bombing that documentary is about. So one way or the other. So getting back to the song, I mean, it's obvious that from 30 years ago, the original chords, I mean, that original intro and the chords and stuff were the basis of it. But the song that it became is not the song that it was originally was when you walked into the room with it.
That's right. Once you get beyond that early part, I mean, there's a very different vibe to it because as it starts to uh, move along, there's all these different sections, and those different sections, I think, speak more to that kind of a frustration with the situation than the original song did, or the original music did, anyhow.
Did
So
it make it
yeah,
easier to write if you because of that time and experience and that frustration you felt as we were going through the chord structures and everything like that to write the lyrics? I mean,
um, I struggled for a while just to try to not write what I wrote before, just in a different way. And it wasn't really until I said, wait a minute, I really have something else that I'm trying to say here, that I was able to, you know, kind of move forward in a different way. There's a chorus, there's the verses, and yet the thing has like four or five different sections in it, right?
yeah,
And I think that came about as the main part of the radio edit of the song, would end right after the lyrics do, but um, I think a really important thing gets lost if the song stops there, um, and then you know gosh, bringing it to you guys, we were able to then come up with some really interesting parts. So the guitar harmonies that are going on, and we worked quite a while on not just composing those harmonies, but then being able to play them smoothly and um, articulate them well, and that came out really well. And then Rob came in,
hmm
and
Rob's the magic sauce in just about any song, though, right?
yes, and all of a sudden it really became a prog rock song at that point, because
Like it's
that
like John Lord had walked into the room.
yeah, it was, yeah, it just all of a sudden you've got this almost, I don't know, Boston-esque organ going on, and it really did complete everything. So yeah, I don't know that it was any easier for me to write the lyrics. Um, it just, once the direction changed, I kind of knew where it was going to go. Um, and a lot's gone on in the world in the last 30 years. And that's part of what I'm talking about. I talk about the goalposts keep moving far away, right? And every day it's another trap. You know, something that you innocently could have said, 15 years ago, if you say that same thing today, it's taken as a slight against, a whole group of people, or whatever. And I think that's a difficult thing too, because intent doesn't seem to be as important as how something is said. And in this society. And so we see people who may make a comment, they choose the wrong words. I don't think that that was really their intent, but because they chose the wrong words in trying to communicate a certain idea, um, they are condemned for it. And that's so that's kind of what I mean when I say, the goalposts keep moving. Well, it makes it hard to continue to speak in a way that is respectful to everyone when the words that we use that were respectful a few years ago are no longer considered respectful. And those kind of things, you know, are big changes that have happened in that last 30 years. And uh, some of it was really easy to write. Some of it, I had to really think, what is this? What is it I'm trying to say here? And is this getting it across?
So we workshopped this song quite a bit. I mean, I
We
think
did.
we probably worked on this one other than one other. I think we worked on this one more than a lot of them. There are a lot of chords in this song. I remember having to look over your shoulder at a music stand, especially in the backing track, just to
Yeah.
follow the chord changes while looking over your shoulder as we recorded it. Not that it made it hard, but it's just it was there. Like as you said, there's a lot of moving parts in this song and a
Yeah.
lot of different changes that went along. Some of which we came up with as we were going, some of which Eric brought to the table, and
Yeah.
Eric who kind of knocked it out of the park on this album
Oh yeah.
overall. But I mean, um, but I think you had Ben on drums, I believe, on this one, and so
Yep.
there was a lot of different parts that we had to kind of work out. So this one took some work.
It did. I think the only thing that probably took more work than this would have been Miswired, right?
Yeah,
Which was more fusion than rock, but or fusion than prog, but still, a lot of parts. And so you take that and you compare it to Hoodoo, or some of the things that three chords and the truth, right?
yep.
This is 30 chords and the truth, right? It's 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 a little
Song, by
bit
the
hard,
way. Yeah,
yeah, or at least 30 chords in my truth. So and I don't know. It definitely is one of the more self-indulgent things on the album. It's a lot longer than most of the things on the album, but um, I grew up on Yes and Zeppelin and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and you know progressive rock that a 12-minute song was you know typical. I mean,
yeah. It wasn't unusual for Floyd to have an entire side of an album to be
yeah,
one song. So
yeah.
we didn't go that far.
No, no, no. We fit 9 songs on 2 sides, so I think we're practically the Ramones at this point, right?
There we go. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, and then, shameless self promotion again. We actually do have vinyl for people to buy. So, you can
Limited
reach out,
quantities, so
limited quantity.
yeah.
So reach out via the website or via social media or however. Ain't Got No Time has its own website. Ain't Got No Time Blues and Rock Band is on Facebook as well. Reach out to us on that, and you can certainly get a copy of this. We're only 2 songs in the discussions at this point, but
Yeah.
we'll get through all of them, I promise, and kind of go from there. At least Matt will. I'll be in some, and multiple others. This is an album that you had a lot of people writing. I looked at it again recently, and comparatively, compared to the last album in particular, there's a lot less of you and me and a lot more of everybody else, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric's got 2 on here, I think, and Ben's got one. And then there's songs that were composed as a group,
Yeah,
and then yeah, you've got some, and I've got some. We couldn't get Rob to do any, and Kevin says he doesn't write, but that's all right. They both were major contributors to what made this album work anyhow.
Everybody writes to a degree, though. Um, I go back to the recording session. One of the things that made us kind of unique as a band is that you and I don't play the same way at all together, right?
No. It's funny because we have so many of the same influences, right?
True.
Clapton and Hendrix and Stevie Ray and Jeff Beck and all of those classic rock guys that we grew up on. Um, but you really lean way more towards like the Stevie Ray and Allman Brothers side, while I lean way more towards like the Jeff Beck and that kind of a side, right? And yet it works really well together. It was always great because I don't think we ever had many conversations where it was, well, which part do you want to play? We knew which part each of us was going to play because, you know, if it was a slide, I'm not going to pick up a slide if Dave Manoucheri's in the room. So, he's going to do that. And, if it was something that um, was a little more technical in its composition, I would probably take that, right? And so from that standpoint, then the tones, you're much more of that,
I'm a
classic
Strat guy.
Marshall, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a Strat, yeah, and I mean, both of us have almost enough guitars, but
Never
yeah,
that.
you know, and the other side of the room, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine on the other side of the room, plus these two and another one on the wall here, and that's in this room. So, um, but it, it, I play through a Mesa Boogie. Um, you know, you
Right.
play through a Marshall or a PRS, which is really this beautiful uh, thing right in between, like a Marshall and a Mesa Boogie.
Yeah.
It's got that mushiness, but still the articulation of like a boogie, which is really beautiful.
And I
And so
just felt
those,
like that in this song, well, this song, really, this whole record
yeah.
kind of stretched because I mean, the other side of it is too, we learned differently. Like
Oh yeah.
I learned to play by ear and much later in life. So for me, it stretches my abilities a lot, and we have always as a band, I think you use the line of always pick the hardest song and try to do that one first
Oh yeah.
and then go from
Yeah.
there. And this album certainly was that way to a degree because there's a lot of different chords, a lot of different things that really push my limits. The harmonized leads, which I had done with my brother in bands past, but we really, I mean, we did a lot of that on our album "Pay the Piper," but we kind of pushed that to another level on this record, particularly on this
Oh
song.
yeah. I mean, I love Pay the Piper. I go back and listen to that and I go, okay, this is fun. But the the harmonies on this especially, on When to Change too, but really on One Rough Year, those guitar harmonies are so much more fluid. They are much more melodic. It leans way more towards the Allman Brothers than the Scorpions, and I kind of felt like some of the stuff on the Pay the Piper was us doing our best Scorpions imitation. And our best Scorpions imitation isn't a very good imitation, I'm afraid. But
Yeah, I think you at one point mentioned that, like, I think it was Movedra. You said the Scorpions called and they asked for their guitar tone back. So it's
yeah,
like,
something like that. Yeah.
but I think as a record as a whole, I think, but also this song, it really pulls together what this band can do, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
this song is probably the most complicated thing that we have ever done as a band before. I don't know whether that's
The
100% true, but it's probably pushing that limit at this point.
Jessica. We started out with Jessica. It probably has as many movements in it as this does. So,
At the end of the day, though, it seems like you're happy with how this song came out. Like it took you
oh,
30 years, but it's the song it kind of feels like it's the song you wanted it to be at this point in time.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the song I wanted it to be because it was the song that I did with you guys, and it said what I wanted to say, and it said it in a way that was really musical and you know, to me, very beautiful. You know, and it's a different kind of beauty than, a lot of the other songs on this album are. But that's why I call this, our White Album. It it is the most eclectic album that I think I've ever been a part of. You listen to all the things on it. I mean, I guess we could have put a classical piece on here. Yeah, you know, we kind of really ran the gamut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it must feel pretty special. I mean, this song in particular, it's a song from back in your 90s era. You've got Eric Rosander playing bass, who played bass with you. I mean, who you've known since childhood, but
13
you've
years
also got
old.
your own son
Yeah.
playing drums on this. And then on top of that, you've got Rob and you got me and you got Kevin. It's like it is this sort of mishmash of special people in your life to be able to put this song together.
No, 100%. Yeah. It's pretty neat.
Well, I think we've kind of hit the end of our discussion on condemnation. Not that I couldn't talk with Matt for another 50, 60 hours, but um, you know, Condemnation's the second song on the album One Rough Year by the Ain't Got No Time Blues and Rock Band. That album, as I said before, is available. Limited quantities of vinyl. You can stream it on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, whatever the heck that thing Beyonce and Jay-Z own is, and all digital platforms. So
And we
we
got
would
CDs
appreciate.
too.
We do have CDs too, so we have quantities of those as well. Reach out via social, reach out via our website, and we will be happy to sell you those. They make great Christmas presents. Even if it's not Christmas time when you're watching this, you can buy it in advance for Christmas and then hold on to it for people as well.
Be
So
a little late for this Christmas, I'm afraid, at this point,
it's a
but
little late for this Christmas, but if you're watching this in 2026, it's great for this Christmas.
that's right. And we have some packages available on the website too. So, you can get one rough year, you can get one rough year and Wind to Change. Though Wind to Change is not available in vinyl at this point. And you can even get Pay the Piper, though it is also not available in vinyl at this point, but we do have some CDs. And Dave, your album, When the Giants Fell,
That's right.
um, is also part of that package, if they so choose. And I bet you if somebody were to order all of those things, I could probably twist Dave's arm and get a copy of Bringing Down the House thrown in there too.
I think I probably have a good 10 or more of those 45s left, and they sound great. And it's a great track. It's got a lot of Ain't Got No Time. Even When the Giants Fell has what basically is the Ain't Got No Time band on about half of it. So they're the influences are there for all of the stuff that you can buy in that package and kind of go from there. Before I let you all go, One Rough Year was the culmination of a project that we have done three times now. That's the RPM Challenge, recording, producing, and mastering. And the idea is that you write and record an album in the month of February, although they never said which month of February it had to be in. But we actually did it in 1 month of February for two of the three. So, that works out well. But, I think One Rough Year ended up being a fantastic record. In the middle of it, we had one band member move. We had a lot of rough things happen throughout that year. That's the name of the album. So we hope you all listen to it and we hope you all enjoy it. And we will continue to make more music as time progresses.
Yeah, but hey, Dave, I just got to also give a little shout out. Dave sent me a early version of his new album, and oh my gosh, it's
I,
fantastic,
I
man. It is
appreciate it. Yeah, I've got
fantastic.
an album coming out in February of 2026 called Songs for the Chic. It is a tribute to my late father who passed away in 2024. We found in cleaning the house his old reel-to-reel player, and he had made mixtapes on reel-to-reel tapes. And, after sort of going through some of the grief, I can't say I'm finished grieving. I don't think you ever really do. And, decided to ask as many people as I could get together in the time I had allotted. I wish I could have gotten Matt on it. I did get his son Ben on it. There are 9 musicians. We took a bunch of the songs that my dad had listened to on those mixtapes he made on reel to reels in the 60s and 70s, and also a couple originals. So look out for that. That's coming out in February as well. So we will have lots of music, and Matt and I are going to make music together
Oh
again,
yeah,
I'm sure very soon. So don't
yeah,
worry
yeah.
about that either.
February's coming. I don't know how we'd manage it, but
It'll be the Zoom album,
yeah, something like
instead of the
that.
White
Yeah,
album.
yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It's been great talking.